They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family, blood was just the ink my parents used to write checks for my siblings while I bled out in the background. My name is Rahul, and for 22 years I was the reliable one. In my house, reliable was code for, we don't have to care about you because you'll figure it out. My sister Rachel was the princess who could do no wrong even when she was doing everything wrong. My brother Kevin was the golden child who was treated like a fragile glass vase. And me? I was the wallpaper. But 10 years ago, my parents made a choice. They chose a vacation over my future. They called me selfish for wanting to walk across a stage and receive a degree I paid for with my own sweat. Now, 10 years later, the bill has finally come due, and they expect me to pay it. To understand why I walked away, you have to understand the dynamic. Imagine being 16 years old. I was working 20 hours a week at a local grocery store, pulling a 3.9 GPA and doing my own laundry because my mom forgot I lived there. On my 16th birthday, I got a $50 Target gift card. No cake, no party, just a card that wasn't even signed. It just said, "From Mom and Dad" in my mom's messy handwriting. 2 years later, it was Rachel's 16th. They rented a literal event hall. They bought her a MacBook Pro. They threw her a surprise party with 50 people. When I asked why the difference was so huge, my dad looked me dead in the eye and said, "We were in a different financial situation back then." That was a lie. He'd just gotten a promotion. The truth was, Rachel was the favorite. When it came time for college, the favoritism went from annoying to life-altering. I got into a great engineering program. My parents told me they wouldn't give me a single dime. "We need to save for Rachel's wedding and Kevin's tuition," they said. I was 18, standing in the kitchen, realizing my parents had officially opted out of my life. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just left. I worked 2 jobs, washing dishes until 2 a.m. and working the campus bookstore at 7 a.m. I lived on 25-cent ramen and free coffee from the library. I was a ghost. While I was struggling to pay for books, Rachel was posting Instagram photos of the brand new car my parents bought her for getting through her first semester of community college. Fast forward to senior year. I had done it. I survived 4 years of engineering school while working 60 hours a week. I had a job offer from a major firm. I was the first person in my family to graduate with a 4-year degree. This was my Super Bowl. I called my mom in February. "The ceremony is May 18th at 2 p.m., I told her. "I have 4 tickets. There was a pause. I could hear my nephew Brandon, Rachel's kid from a guy who ghosted her, screaming in the background. My mom sighed. "Oh, honey, we actually can't make it. We booked a cruise for that week. It's for Rachel. She's been so stressed being a single mom, and we thought a family trip would be good for everyone." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. A cruise? During my graduation? "Don't be so sensitive," she said. "You're so independent. You don't need us there anyway. We'll celebrate when we get back." I hung up, shaking. But it got worse. A week later, my mom called again, and she sounded sweet, the voice she uses when she wants something. "So Kevin decided he doesn't want to go on the cruise. He has a gaming tournament that weekend. Since you're going to be at the school anyway, we were thinking, could you just skip the ceremony and watch Brandon for the day? That way Kevin doesn't have to deal with a toddler while he's gaming, and Rachel can really relax on the ship." I actually laughed. It was a cold, hysterical sound. "You want me to skip my college graduation, the one I paid for myself, to babysit my nephew so my brother can play video games?" "Family helps family," my dad growled, taking the phone. "If you can't do this one small thing for your sister after everything we've done for you, then don't bother coming home for Christmas. You're being incredibly selfish." That was it. The final thread snapped. I told them, "Fine. I'm selfish. Enjoy your cruise." I blocked every single one of them. Graduation day was beautiful. My parents weren't there, but my friends were. My girlfriend, now my wife, Amy, held my hand and told me she was proud of me. That was the first time I'd heard those words in 10 years. I moved 500 miles away. I climbed the corporate ladder. I became a senior project manager. I bought a house with a 3-car garage. I married Amy in a small ceremony where her father walked her down the aisle and then shook my hand, calling me son. I finally knew what a real family felt like. For 10 years, my biological family was a dark memory. I didn't check their social media. I didn't ask about them. I was dead to them, and they were dead to me. Until 6 months ago. The email hit my inbox on a Tuesday. Subject, Important Family Matter. It was from Rachel. It was a wall of text, full of guilt and desperation. Our dad has early onset Parkinson's. Our mom's arthritis is so bad she can't hold a spoon. And the kicker? They're broke. They spent every cent of their retirement funding Rachel's influencer dreams and Kevin's pro gaming career. Spoiler, he's 28 and still lives in the basement. Rachel said she was exhausted and couldn't do it anymore. She asked me to move back home to help with caregiving or start sending $2,000 a month to cover their medical bills. We're family, she wrote, and family doesn't turn their back on each other. I sat with that email for a full week. I showed it to Amy. She asked if I felt guilty. I looked at my hands, the hands that washed dishes for 4 years to pay for a degree my parents didn't care about. I felt nothing but cold, hard clarity. I hit reply. Hi, Rachel. It was interesting to hear from you after a decade. I'm sorry to hear about Mom and Dad's health. However, I'm going to have to decline. You see, I'm incredibly selfish. Mom told me that 10 years ago when I refused to skip my graduation to babysit Brandon. Since I'm so selfish, it wouldn't be fair to Mom and Dad to have to rely on someone like me. I'm sure you and Kevin, the favorites, will have no problem stepping up. After all, you've had the benefit of their financial support for the last 30 years. It's time to pay it back. Please don't contact me again unless it's an obituary notice. The fallout was nuclear. Rachel tried to find me on LinkedIn. Kevin sent me a series of unhinged messages calling me a monster. They even got our Aunt Linda to call me. But then my cousin Josh reached out. Josh had always been the black sheep, like me. He told me the truth. Rachel wasn't even helping our parents. She was living in their house for free, spending their disability checks on herself and ignoring them while they sat in their own filth. Josh went on a warpath. He posted the truth to the entire extended family. He showed them old Facebook photos of the cruises and vacations my parents took while I was working 2 jobs. He dismantled Rachel's martyr act in front of everyone. Today, my parents had to sell their family home. They live in a tiny, cramped 2-bedroom apartment. Rachel is still there, miserable because she has no more money to spend. Kevin is still in the basement, or what counts for a basement in an apartment, probably still waiting for his big break in a video game. They reached out one last time, through a lawyer, trying to see if they could sue for filial support. My lawyer laughed them out of the room. People ask me if I feel bad. I don't. I paid my dues in sweat and ramen. They chose a cruise over their son's greatest achievement. Now they're on a ship that's finally sinking, and I'm standing on the shore, perfectly dry. What would you have done? Let me know in the comments.